Cotton, a super soft fabric but a cutthroat industry. Traders make 37 billion euros a year.
Tonight close 600 tons, but if it goes below 76 to 1200 tons.
At the other end of the chain is the insatiable appetite of the leading brands that make our clothes all year round. For a year, we investigated the dealings of these businesses. In particular, we looked at the newcomer to the label scene, the favourite of the leading brands, with its promise of greener and more responsible cotton.
How can you support that? So I'd be happy to look into this, of course, you know.
You said you wanted half an hour.
No.
We followed the production line back to Uzbekistan, where 1 million people are forced into the fields each harvest.
Is that paid? No? No money?
We met those rare human rights activists who dare to denounce the system.
Сотрудники милиции тоже подходили, пинали по ногам, кричали: "Мы убьем тебя!"
From Central Asia to Bangladesh, we traced the cotton back to the spinning mills. We go behind the scenes of the clothing industry. Our investigation begins in Uzbekistan, the 6th largest producer of cotton in the world and one of the most authoritarian regimes. Islam Karimov was in power for 35 years. He was considered one of the worst dictators on the planet. It was under his presidency that hundreds of protesters were massacred with machine guns in 2005. And that the cotton industry has become very profitable for the state. It's the beginning of October, harvest season. We've made this journey to investigate a scandal that many ignore. Forced labour in the cotton fields, a system orchestrated within the highest ranks of the state by the country's authorities themselves. Officially, we're here as tourists. In the car with us is Elena a human rights activist. She's 60 years old and has fought for years to end forced labour in the fields.
Идут на хлопок. Вот сейчас они все идут на хлопковые поля с мешочками. У каждого человека в день определенная норма сбора хлопка. Это по 70 килограмм, 60 килограмм. Иногда люди не могут собрать такую норму, потому что очень тяжело, если, например, хлопка нет на поле. И те люди, которые не собрали норму, они могут ожидать наказания или даже избиения.
According to Elena and international NGOs, 1 million people are forced to work in the fields each year. Elena is leading us to a farm she visited a few days ago, a field where doctors and nurses have been requisitioned. During the harvest, they stay in this school. The gym and some classrooms serve as dormitories.
Здравствуйте, дети! Здесь спят врачи.
These doctors are enlisted by the authorities during the harvest.
Вот компьютер. Они каждый день дают сводку. Вот ихние документы Ангрен Шахар Тибиот.
There's no time to see the gym, which serves as a dormitory. Elena wants to move quickly so as not to attract too much attention. The field is just behind the school.
Здесь собирают хлопок врачи из Ангрена, из роддома, из поликлиники.
Angren is 100 kilometers from here, but in order to get everyone into the fields, the Uzbek state has planned everything meticulously. These videos were filmed in secret during previous harvests. A bit like in the army, civil servants and students are transported by bus under police escort. The mass movement of the population is filmed by Uzbeks who wish to remain anonymous. Elena Urleva is the only activist not to hide away.
Здравствуйте, медики! Кто еще не получил листовки? Подходите.
Pamphlets in hand, she reminds the civil servants of their rights.
Вы тоже медик? Медик? Вы такой получали листочек? Возьмите, пожалуйста. Меня зовут Елена Урлаева. Я уже к вам приезжала, но только вам не достался такой листочек. Написано, что медики не должны собирать хлопок.
But our intrusion is causing upset. Behind the nurse, these three men have spotted us. And when we begin our interview, look at what is going on in the background. One of the three men runs away. At the time, we see nothing and we carry on with the interview.
Is she okay for working in the field?
Complaints are out of the question. There's always somebody supervising. When the workers don't fill their quota, this is what can happen. In this video that was filmed in secret by an Uzbek in another plantation, we hear the chief supervisor, the woman in the white blouse, dictating a text to a nurse. For civil servants who've been requisitioned, there's only one way to avoid the harvest, finding a replacement like this young man.
How old are you? He's paid? He's not paid? No? No money?
At this point, one of the men who spotted us earlier approaches. We leave the vicinity quickly. And it's on the road a few minutes later that trouble really begins.
Вот нам уже, по-моему, преграждают дорогу. Это нам?
Judging by the number of police officers surrounding the car to check the driver's papers, we can tell it's serious. Actually, it's us that the police officers are interested in, and our translator returns with some bad news. In a dictatorship like Uzbekistan, investigative journalists who pose as tourists, like us, can run into a lot of trouble.
What? What's happening?
From the hostility of the police officers in front of the station, we can see that there's trouble ahead. For the time being, no one notices that we are filming with our phones. We, the fake tourists, stay together but in custody. For several hours, the police officers look through our documents, asking us questions and verifying our identities.
Denizo. Matthias.
Admittedly, in this police station, hidden in the darkest depths of a dictatorship, We weren't mistreated. But very quickly we realized that for Elena and for our translator, the situation was a lot more serious.
But what's happening with them?
They are writing something explaining what is the purpose, what's the idea for visiting cotton fields. Here says that Elena, she always problematic with the government.
After 5 hours of interrogation, the police finally escort us back to the hotel without having found out that we are journalists. Elena and Timur remain in custody. They are released 3 hours later. Seven days after our arrest, we decide to see Elena again. Late in the evening, during a storm, and taking many precautions to ensure we're not being followed. We have a meeting at her home in the suburb of Tashkent.
Здравствуйте, привет.
Здравствуйте, проходите. Здравствуйте, как вы? Все хорошо.
Don't be fooled by her smile. Elena's interrogation was a lot less laid back than our own.
Синяки есть, проходят. Синяки.
She shows us the medical certificates she printed following her arrest.
Я вот вызывала скорую помощь, и врачи скорой помощи зафиксировали ушибы и гематомы на моем теле.
And then she told us what she had suffered during the 8 hours of interrogation.
Да, меня избивали женщины, они меня хватали, рвали волосы, пинали по ногам, и сотрудники милиции тоже подходили, пинали по ногам, кричали: мы убьем тебя. То есть раздевали догола, обыскивали всячески. Вот это, все это в такой грубой форме происходило.
Вам страшно?
Мне?
Да.
Ну, не то, что страшно. Нет, мне не страшно, мы уже привыкли. Просто, знаете, обидно, что на протяжении 10 лет сколько нас бьют.
Violence, bullying, and even forced stints in a psychiatric hospital. For the moment, Elena tolerates it all. In Uzbekistan, it is costly to mess with the cotton industry, an industry that makes certain high-ranking leaders of the state rich. This is confirmed by Dimitri Tonov. He left Uzbekistan in December 2015, but is still afraid.
Мне не хотелось бы преследований со стороны спецслужб Узбекистана. Скажем, там, насколько я знаю, политических мигрантов преследуют и даже депортируют обратно в Узбекистан.
Dimitri is a human rights activist. Before leaving his country, he regularly went to meet workers during the harvest. It was whilst making a film like this in September 2015 that he was denounced and then removed from his position.
В этот самый момент в кабинет ворвался начальник, офицер. Он взял со стола стопку бумаг, там документы лежали, стал бить меня по лицу, по голове, и, как я уже сказал, с криками: «Хлопок — наше богатство, наше достояние, ты мешаешь, лучше бы ехал собирать, чем фотографируешь». Это я в первый день сделал, как приехал. Крыши нет, потолок обрушился. Это мой рабочий кабинет. Здесь были ноутбуки, документы и по журналистике, и по правам человека. Сгорел ноутбук, 2 компьютера. Все архивы уничтожили.
Dimitri considers the cotton industry a scandal of the state.
До $1 миллиарда дает хлопок в среднем в бюджет Узбекистана, но в прошлом году, по-моему, 800 миллионов. А это общеизвестно, что в Узбекистане коррупция имеет громадные, так сказать, размеры. Мы в числе лидирующих стран мира Поэтому значительная часть от поступлений, денежных поступлений от хлопка просто-напросто оседает в карманах у тех, кто активно, так сказать, противодействует тому, чтобы принудительный труд в Узбекистане исчез. Вот и все. И когда мы боремся с принудительным трудом в Узбекистане, мы, по сути, залазим к ним в карман.
Despite the human rights violations and the suspicion of corruption, members of the European Parliament recently voted by large majority to standardize the textile trade with Uzbekistan, which means laundering the Uzbek cotton industry.
L'Ouzbékistan a fait un travail remarquable. Ce n'est pas terminé et il y a encore énormément de choses à faire en Ouzbékistan. Mais si nous voulons gagner la confiance, il faut aussi que nous fassions un geste et c'est le geste que nous poserons aujourd'hui.
Die Situation in Usbekistan wahrlich noch nicht so ist, wie wir uns das für die Menschen im Land wünschen. Aber wir haben zu Recht in der Entschließung aus dem Jahr 2011 verlangt, dass es in Usbekistan keine komplett heile Welt geben muss.
From a trade point of view, is also very much in the interest of the European Union because it provides legal certainty for our exporters in that sector.
In less diplomatic language, trade with the Uzbeks generates 2 billion euros each year. At this price, surely it's better to have a good relationship with Uzbekistan. Tough luck, Elena Urleva and Dimitri Tonov. To meet those who support them in their fight, we must leave the European Parliament. It's in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, that we try to understand the European Parliament's position. We have arranged to speak to NGOs who have fought against the human rights violations in Uzbekistan for years. With them, we listen carefully to the European Parliament debates on Uzbek textiles again.
It's very clear. The intention was to boost trade from the European Union to Uzbekistan, and it seems that trade was given precedence over human rights.
In justifying their decision, the European Parliament relies on the support of the ILO, the International Labour Organization. It's the branch of the UN dedicated to the protection of workers' rights throughout the world.
The ILO's Committee on Experts report from last year's harvest was very positive.
Luotamme tähän raportointiin ja toisaalta kunnioitamme sitä päätöstä, minkä teimme.
In its report, the ILO observed the near elimination of child labour, but for the NGOs, the problem has simply gone elsewhere.
Child labour has been replaced by massive mobilization of forced labour of adults, mainly those who are employees of the state, so teachers and medical professionals.
But the NGOs in particular contest the methods used by the ILO inspectors.
So quite simply, every time an Uzbek citizen answers questions from someone in a monitoring mission from the ILO, they are also answering those questions in the presence of a government representative, which often could be a member of the security services of Uzbekistan.
Despite these warnings, members of the European Parliament have decided to reach out to Uzbekistan. On the other hand, under pressure from NGOs, dozens of brands have decided to boycott Uzbek cotton, mainly because of forced labour. Amongst others on the list we find Nike, Adidas, Zara, H&M, Lacoste, Levi's, Marks & Spencer, Carrefour, Primark, Puma, Saint Laurent, Japanese Uniqlo, Chinese Li and Fung. Anyway, pretty much the world's clothing industry. Of course, we asked ourselves who continues to buy Uzbek cotton. To get an answer, let's return to Uzbekistan. Every year, the country organizes an international cotton and textile trade fair. In business terms, it's the event of the year for Uzbek cotton. The problem is that journalists aren't welcome here either. So we're going with a hidden camera. And this time we are posing as French buyers who are launching a new clothing label.
ça le fait?
Expo Center, Expo.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, perfect.
Inside, it's like a luxury boutique with beautiful cotton flowers in display windows. No forced labor or beaten activists.
About 1,000 ghosts comes here to do this dog. Quality is better than yes.
But why? Is it the climate?
It will be picked up by hands, not with machines.
Okay, and why is it better by hand?
By hand. If you are picking it by hand, there will be no dirty then.
Okay.
The fact that the cotton is hand-picked is the #1 selling point for exhibitors.
Picking by hand, which is not fiber, cotton fiber. If we will pick up by the machine, then it will harm the structure of the fiber. In compare with the, let's say, with the states, they have also their cotton.
Wandering through the market, we stumbled upon Daewoo, a South Korean giant that produces cars, weapons, electrical goods, as well as yarns and fabrics. The group has its own factory in Uzbekistan, in the east of the country.
We have a long-term business here, already 20 years, and then Daewoo is very famous for the textile industry.
And so who do you sell to?
We sell to the 50% to China market, and 30% to CIS Russia market, and 20% to Western Europe part, like Germany and England, sometimes French. Yeah.
Despite the boycott, Uzbek cotton is all over Europe and the world. We will soon have proof of this.
Hello. Hello. Yeah.
Vous êtes français?
Oui.
Ah, d'accord, ok. Enchanté.
Bonjour.
Je suis ici depuis 25 ans.
Ah oui.
J'étais ici avant l'indépendance pour des rénovations d'usines textiles. Et au fur et à mesure, on a fait des affaires, on a développé, et aujourd'hui, on est presque 4000 personnes.
Ah oui, et vous faites uniquement du marché local ou...
Non, justement, on fait que de l'export.
Que de l'export.
Que de l'export, que de l'export.
A Belgian employer at the head of an Uzbek textile factory of 4,000 employees that only does exports. We would like to know more, but because we're being carefully watched, we suggest that we meet again later. Two months after our return from Uzbekistan, we have a meeting with the Belgian employer in a Parisian cafe. Before he arrives, we install a number of hidden cameras. Don't forget that we're pretending to be French buyers interested in the products he makes in Uzbekistan.
Voilà, le dernier produit.
Oh. Merci beaucoup, c'est gentil.
C'est plus small, ça doit être bon.
Before the Made in Uzbekistan polo shirt and our questions about the reputation of Uzbek cotton, the businessman proposes a scheme.
Aujourd'hui, il n'est pas obligatoire de marquer l'origine du produit.
D'accord.
Si vous voulez qu'on marque Made in Bulgarie, on va vous mettre Made in Bulgarie. Si vous voulez qu'on vous mette Made in Allemagne, on va vous mettre Made in Allemagne.
Si moi je vous commande des vêtements et que je veux mettre... c'est ça que vous me dites?
Oui, on ne peut pas mettre Made in France, puisqu'ils viennent de l'étranger, donc là évidemment c'est pas possible. Mais on peut vous mettre Made in Portugal.
Et ça vous l'avez déjà fait? Enfin,
oui,
ouais.
Oui, Made in Spain. Oui, oui, bien sûr. Oui.
Mais qui vous le demande par exemple?
Les clients.
Les clients.
Les clients, oui.
Pour pas avoir Made in Uzbekistan.
Made in Uzbekistan, oui, oui, bien sûr. Oui.
Et ça c'est pas...
Made in Italy, c'est très très bonne marque.
Made in Italy, donc vous pouvez faire du Made in Italy?
Ah oui, oui. Ah oui, ça marche très bien ça.
We checked. Marking a product with its origin is optional, it's true. Marking with the wrong origin, on the other hand, is illegal, of course.
Dès que le coton est tricoté, on perd la trace du coton. Et ce coton-là, par exemple, à partir du moment où il a été tricoté, on ne peut plus savoir où il est passé. Ce fil-là, il a passé donc au moins 5 ou 6 frontières. Et à partir de là, c'est perdu.
Verifying our interlocutor's information is not easy. We admit things are a bit hazy. Thankfully, 3 months after our trip, we receive a list of people and businesses present at the Uzbek Cotton Fair, the one we were invited to. This document allows us to identify some of the foreign buyers. We find big traders of raw materials, but also dozens of spinning mills with factories in China, Turkey, and especially in Bangladesh. Many show the names of their clients on their website. They say that they supply to well-known brands such as Auchan, Camailleux, Benetton, Celio, or Monoprix. Surprisingly, some of the factories that attended the fair in Uzbekistan say they supply to brands participating in the Uzbek cotton boycott, like Zara, Carrefour, H&M and C&A. In an attempt to verify this information, we contact these factories as journalists. Since no one responds, we continue our investigation by posing as buyers. The cotton trail takes us from Uzbekistan to Bangladesh, one of the poorest countries in the world and the biggest producer of clothes after China. All along the road there are textile factories and spinning mills where imported cotton is being delivered. With our fake brochures and our fake business cards, we begin with the most important spinning mill on our list, Riedische, one of the biggest groups in the country. On its website, the company shows its client base to include textile industry giants and well-known brands. In this public document, H&M, one of the rare groups to publish its list of suppliers, cites Riedische as one of its subcontractors. When it comes to the cotton's origin, the factory always mentions Australia and the USA on its website. There's nothing about Uzbekistan. Despite several visit requests as foreign clients, the bosses never replied. Arriving in front of the factory, with all these men in uniform and this formidable stronghold, we realize it's not going to be easy. But we give it a go.
Hello? Do you think it's possible to visit?
The factory owner isn't here. His right-hand man lets us in.
Hello? Yeah. Dis-lui qu'on a envoyé un mail pour savoir si on pouvait visiter. On n'a jamais eu de réponse.
Please sit down.
Yeah?
Thanks to our lovely brochures, the man is nonetheless going to drop his boss a line.
Parler avec son chef va parler avec quelqu'un d'autre et ensuite ça va venir to you.
So not possible. Even 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Sorry.
Okay. It's a pity. It's a pity. Thank you.
With the number of uniformed men surrounding us, we don't insist. A last military salute for the road and we get in the car. Despite failing to get us into the factory, our cover actually ends up working. Thanks to our business cards, after a few days we secure a crucial meeting to help us follow the Uzbek cotton trail. It's a meeting with one of the most important cotton sellers in the country. We go along with our translator. The company is called Baku Group. In Bangladesh, it encompasses some of the biggest traders in the world. The American Cargill with its $120 billion sales revenue. The Singaporean Olam with $20 billion. and the Swiss Ecom with its modest 4 billion. To begin with, we asked the manager where the cotton he imports to Bangladesh comes from.
I would say Uzbek.
First for you?
First for me would be still Uzbek, yes.
Okay.
Roughly 60% of what I sell is Uzbek.
Okay.
Cotton picked by hand is usually cheaper.
Okay. Why?
It's labor. Usually these countries' labor is pretty cheap, right?
So it's cheaper to use labor in those countries than machines.
Absolutely. Yes, like that. You know? Just give me a second. Sorry. Hey, Carl. Hello. Hi, mate. How you doing? Hi. What's happening? Tonight close 600 tons, but if you see my message, if it goes below 76, give me a buzz. He might just do 1,200 tons instead of 6. Okay? Great.
So you're dealing with hundreds of tons?
Yes,
That's
I
it?
am. I am. I'm dealing with a lot of foreigners, and my customer base in Bangladesh is also very limited. There are over 200 spinning mills in Bangladesh, but I deal with hardly 30 big ones, good ones, who are financially strong. I deal with only them.
Okay. Which are, for example...
I'll give you a few examples. One can be Prime Textiles, it's a pretty good company. Kea, who else? Vidisha.
Ridisha, just the company we're interested in. The formidable stronghold, the factory that only mentions Australian and American cotton on its website. And the factory whose clients like Carrefour, Zara and H&M practically all claim to be boycotting Uzbek cotton. Yet according to the trader, the factory buys almost 50% of the cotton from Uzbekistan. The trader knows the manager at Ridisha well, so before we leave, we ask if he might be able to convince him to meet us. While we wait, we make the most of our buyer status to find out what the spinning mills look like. In the first factory, the Delta factory that we'll call factory number 1, the manager is happy to receive us, and we're given a tour by the owner. The opening scene is almost poetic, with an avalanche of cotton being scooped up by workers in coloured clothes. You might even think it was a nice job to be a cotton blender, but that's before we arrive in this corridor and this room where we see these workers. Teenagers sitting in front of a machine used to make synthetic threads. It could cut off their fingers in a momentary lapse of concentration. In Bangladesh, minors are not allowed to do dangerous work. But the manager reassures us.
They go quickly.
After that, we leave the 19th century. To see the production lines that are completely mechanized and function 24 hours a day. To operate these machines, the teams work 3/8, that is, day and night. Here, too, are the faces of teenagers. Officially, night shifts are off limits for under 18s. The manager assures us, of course, that his factory is above board and that he respects the legislation. Finally, he takes us to see his warehouses, where the cotton he imports from abroad is stored.
And you have Uzbek as well?
Yes, Turkmen, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan. So 3 things are there, but you are trying to say Uzbek. Huh? This is Uzbek zone.
This is Uzbek as well.
It's whilst in this factory that we learn that Uzbek cotton lacks something the rest of the cotton has.
Normally they don't have any sticker for Uzbek like this.
They don't have stickers?
No. But US cotton they have. Any countries they are writing there, this is Burkina Faso, this is Mali, like this. And even Australia, US, we are getting cotton with mark. But for Uzbek zone, there is no mark.
No indication of the country of origin, to avoid traceability, presumably. After factory number 1, we visit factory number 2, Zubair, for reference the very best spinning factory in Bangladesh. The spinners in this factory work only for the best-known Western brands. Here too, we're able to see the cotton in the stockroom.
This is Brazil.
This is Brazil.
This is Indian cotton.
This is Indian.
This is American.
American, this?
And alongside the American, Indian and Brazilian cotton, we also find unlabeled cotton.
Is it written somewhere? Where is it written, the origin?
Origin America.
This one? But is it written somewhere, like, we can see which country?
Maybe inside. Maybe inside.
Maybe inside, okay. And here you don't have, like, the origin is not written somewhere?
Maybe inside, maybe. Or maybe
We will never get to check whether the unlabeled cotton comes from Uzbekistan or not. Afterwards, we have a meeting in the final factory, factory number 3. During the visit, we pass a building. We realize it is where the workers sleep.
It's dangerous. It's possible to see one room?
In the building, despite the work that is going on, the girls are still there.
Watching TV.
Hello, sorry. Sorry to disturb you. So they're eating here?
They're eating here sometimes.
Hello, nice to meet you. Hello. Hello, can I come?
You see someone is cooking some food.
When they're not at the factory, the workers spend their days here, in these very somber shared rooms.
Hello. Okay, this is a room. Room 1 or 2?
2.
Same bed? One bed? You too?
1.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Quiet. Yes.
How old are you?
Everybody you see that their face, they're about 25, 26, like this.
In Bangladesh, it's always the managers who respond to this question. So we say goodbye to the workers and head off. It's after the visit to factory number 3 that we receive a message from the trader, the one who buys hundreds of tons of cotton. He's got a response from Rhodesia. It's no. Is this factory different to the ones we've already seen? What are the working conditions like in this spinning factory? After several days, we managed to convince one of the Rhodesia workers to meet us, this time as journalists. If you can afford it, the best way to get to her house is by rickshaw. Otherwise, you have to walk. She lives 5 kilometers away from the factory. Her name is Rumina, and she's 38 years old. She lives in this cabin with her husband, her children and baby girl, 6 people in total. She's willing to talk to us because she has nothing to lose. She wants to leave Rhodesia. With her 50 euros a month, 10 euros less than the legal minimum wage in the textile industry, she's surviving. For this salary, she works 6 days a week, day or night, and all year without a break.
ঈদে টিদে দিলেও আমি ইয়ার লাগে 6 দিন কি 5 দিন ছুটি দিলে 4 দিন খাড়াই খাদ্য লাগে আর ছেলে কারে যে ইয়া হলে এই যে ঘুমাইলে আর ওই যে দুষ্টাই মেলা কাজে কুজে লাগলে ঘুমায় পড়লে যদি অনেক ঘুমা দাঁড়ায় সারেরা ফা ছবি তুলে বড় সারে করে দেহা ঘুমাইলে ছবি তুলে 3-4 দিন ঘুমাইলে হাজিরা কাটতে দেবে.
In conversation with this redisher worker, we learn about a situation that is even more serious. Romana tells us that the majority of the workers live in residences built in the factory. For these women, redisher really is a stronghold.
জেলখানার লাইনই তো এটা ধরুন আমার বুঝি বাইরে টাইরে যা তামের একটা ইয়া লিখে দে কাগজ লিখে দিলে এটা সিকিউরিটি দেওয়া যাইব আবার সিকিউরিটিতে যে সময় মতন দিব সময় মতন আর লাগবো না ডুববা দিতে.
With regard to international conventions, this borders on forced labour. On its website, the redisher factory claims to work for big groups like Zara, H&M and Carrefour. We contacted these brands for an interview. None of them agreed to answer our questions. In recent years, increasing numbers of brands have committed to selling ethical cotton. In Paris, in a children's clothing shop, we found these green labels. The labels mention responsible cotton. These green labels all have this BCI logo, the logo for the Better Cotton Initiative, an operation launched most notably by IKEA more than 10 years ago to make cotton greener.
Better Cotton Initiative makes global cotton production better. Better for producers, better for the environment, better for the cotton sector's future.
The details are a bit more complicated, however. The whole BCI system is based on something called mass balance. To begin with, there's a farmer who commits to producing cotton with fewer pesticides, less water and without child labour. His cotton is sold as better cotton. So far, so good. But when the cotton produced by the BCI farmer arrives at the spinning factory, it's mixed up in the stockroom with other cottons. In the factory's books, however, there are already units of BCI cotton. If a factory has bought 100 tons of BCI cotton, it will have 100 BCI units. And when a brand orders 100 tons of BCI cotton, it's not BCI that it's buying, but rather units in general. By the time the cotton winds up in the brand's T-shirt, it may contain lots of BCI cotton, a bit of BCI cotton, or no BCI cotton at all. Are you beginning to understand the wonderful world of BCI? It's now time to put the theory into practice. To really understand why mass balance is so important to these businesses, welcome back to Bangladesh. Remember, during our stay and our tour of the spinning factories of Bangladesh, we visited a factory whose cotton bears the BCI stamp. To be exact, it was factory number 1, the Delta factory. You know, the one where the manager was happy to let us in. The one where we filmed this, but also this, and this. At one point in his office, the manager explained to us the advantage to him of using BCI cotton. Listen carefully.
I purchased some BCI cotton, but this is not mandatory to use same cotton for BCI product. You understand?
No.
No?
No.
If it is organic cotton, I have to make organic yarn with this cotton.
Okay.
If it is BCI cotton, there is no any mandatory to use this cotton for BCI yarn. I can use another yarn, another cotton.
Okay.
Say Uzbek cotton, Indian cotton, African cotton, others cotton.
Essentially, this means that a T-shirt with a BCI logo can be made out of Uzbek cotton, the sweat of forced labourers. But that's not all. We discovered the most astonishing thing when we asked to see the BCI cotton stocks.
Sorry, at this moment BCI cotton stock is nil.
So here you don't have BCI right now?
No, at this moment
And
I don't have, sorry.
in other
unit? No.
unit?
No. One thing more, BCI even more easier because if don't have any stock, we can produce BCI yarn because this is not product based, this is certificate based. So supplier telling, okay, we have given him purchase order, say for 100 tons or 200 tons.
With maximum flexibility, we now understand better why Better Cotton took off so quickly. More and more well-known brands are mentioning their purchase of BCI cotton on their websites. As a result, production has exploded over the last 5 years. Today it makes up 12% of the world's cotton. The objective for 2020, it has been announced, is 30%, nearly 9 million tons of raw cotton. The problem is that ever since the BCI took off, the production of organic cotton has plummeted. With the Better Cotton initiative, certain businesses have decided to stop, or nearly stop, buying organic cotton altogether. Example, Decathlon. In 2013, the French brand was in the top 5 buyers of organic cotton in the world. Today it buys practically none, choosing to opt for BCI instead. The same goes for Puma, who say they bought significant quantities of organic cotton up until 2015, but that they stopped so that they could concentrate on BCI cotton. Again, it's on the other side of the world that the consequences of this turnaround are felt. Welcome to India, the #1 producer of organic cotton in the world. Well, for the moment. Since the success of Better Cotton, certain farmers have been giving up on organic cotton. This is the case for Raju. For 3 years, this farmer produced cotton that respected organic cotton rules, no GM or chemical products. But those days are gone. Last year, Raju discovered Better Cotton and abandoned organic cotton.
BCM કારણ કે પહેલા હું ઓર્ગેનિક ખેતીમાં હતો પણ ઓર્ગેનિક ખેતીમાં કારણ કે બીટી કપાસ તો વવાતો નહોતો ને એના દેશી કપાસનું ઉત્પાદન જોઈએ એટલું મળતું નહોતું કારણ કે એમાં રોગ જીવાય આવે દવા છંટાય નહીં ખાતર નખાય નહીં એટલે બધી પ્રતિબંધ હતો અને જોઈએ એવા ભાવ તો એના મળતા નહોતા કારણ કે 3 વર્ષ સુધી તેનું એપ્રુવમેન્ટ આપતા નથી ગવર્મેન્ટ. ટૂંકા ગાળાનો પાક થઈ જાય BCI બીટી કપાસ વાવવાની એમને મંજૂરીમાં છે. બીટી કપાસમાં શું ટૂંકા ગાળાનો પાક થાય એટલે અમે 2 સિઝન લઈ શકીએ એટલે અમે ડબલ બેનિફિટમાં મળે છે કારણ કે એમાં ખાતર દવા અને બધું નાખવાની ઓલે અને ઉત્પાદન અમને સારું મળે ઉત્પાદન સારું મળે કારણ ભાવ તો સારા મળે જ છે એમાં એટલે અમારી આવક થોડીક વધી જાય એમાં.
Before visiting his field, we make a little detour to the nearest village. Raju has an errand to run. It is here that he buys the chemical products he's allowed to use now that he's making better cotton. This herbicide, for example.
નિંદામણ બાસ્કાલીન કોડ્યા પાવાનું આવે આમ પાણી આરે એટલે આમાંથી શું નિંદામણ કે બીજું કોઈ કપાસ સિવાયનું કોઈ વસ્તુ બીજું ન ઉગે આમાં.
With the BCI system, he can use all the pesticides on sale here. This one, for example, Multi-Star, which is banned in Europe because of its toxicity. Or this one, Beamer, which is very effective, but which is suspected of killing bees and will be illegal to sell in France in a few months. There are no official figures, but according to what we've learned in this sector, several dozen farmers have made the move from organic to BCI cotton, just like Raju. Specifically, this means they plant genetically modified seeds they never used to. and use chemical pesticides they had learnt to live without. We're going to see the BCI people in London. After weeks of negotiation, we've secured a meeting with one of the directors of the Better Cotton Initiative in this big building in the heart of the city.
I'm Max, by the way. I should introduce myself. I'm their communications advisor.
Okay, pleased to meet you.
You okay for me to sit in at the back?
Oh, yeah, sure. Hi. Hi. Nice to meet you. Have a seat. Thank you. Yes.
This is the director, Elena Staffgard.
How long do we have this interview? I wanted to show you something. This is the evolution, but you may know it. It's the evolution of BCI cotton production in the world from 2010 to 2015. Yeah. The growth is absolutely amazing. We can see it here on this graph.
We have been very lucky in working with farmers and being able to show results on a year-by-year basis. And so, yes, we find that the farmers are our greatest advocates, and we've been able to grow and have farmers join us.
But there is a problem. This is the evolution of organic cotton production in the world. The decline that we see here is striking when BCI appears. How do you react?
Well, I do not want to draw any conclusions on two separate graphs. I do not see a link between the two graphs.
Okay, but do you know that some farmers are switching from organic cotton to BCI?
I personally do not have any information about farmers switching. Farmers make their own decision what's best for them. But you know that some of them are switching, right? I don't have any information about any switch. And in the end, I would say that farmers make the decision for what's best for their farm.
Yeah, let me show you a video. This is a farmer that we met in India. He's a BCI farmer. Just listen to him. That's it. And this farmer is not the only one, and is far from being the only one to switch from organic cotton to BCI cotton. That's why we're asking you if BCI cotton is not killing organic cotton year after year.
I don't want to speculate on the reasons for that.
For you, there's no problem.
So what I see is us working together, and what I see is bringing diverse option to
working together. It's
farmers
not,
what we see on these curves. Their life.
Because the director has very little time for us, we changed the subject and show her some content filmed in Bangladesh in the Delta factory, which is a member of the Better Cotton Initiative, the one that buys Uzbek cotton and employs young workers. But it is at that point that Max, the communications advisor, steps in.
No, no, that's not enough. Just another video, please.
You said you wanted half an hour.
No.
You've now had 35 minutes.
Sorry, just another video. Do you think these are decent working conditions according to BCI, which is very important, you know? It's a spinning mill in Bangladesh.
BCI, I can see that it's a spinning mill.
Yeah, with very young,
of course,
look, very young workers. What do you think of it?
So, of course, I see that, and I'm upset by that video. Unfortunately, our standard only covers the farm level. We work at the farm level, and we do not have a standard that goes up into the supply chain.
How can you support that?
So I'd be happy to look into this. Of course, you know, I don't know where the film comes from, and I'd be happy to look into it.
We did it.
And
this is our film. This is our report.
We're done
No,
now.
these are. No, these are.
You've had now 40 minutes.
Yes, sure. But just to answer, just to answer, Lena, it's very important. So you see kids working on this spinning mill, which is a BCI spinning mill. What do you think of it? That's it.
Well, I see some pictures of
journalists
from a journalist from a spinning mill somewhere, and I would look into it. And as I told you, we do not operate in the supply chain.
So if there is
several organizations.
Really
sorry, if there are children working in a spinning mill in Bangladesh, in a BCI spinning mill, you don't care?
Of course I care about the conditions of those people.
Yeah.
Of course I care about the situation. But what I'm saying is that we're 50 people and we work at the farm level improvement. And there are several organizations that look at this specifically and they have the capacity to endorse it and work with these organizations.
Okay, but this is very
Come on then,
theoric.
you've had 45
You don't
minutes
go
now.
to
This-
spinning
come on.
mills in Bangladesh. You
This
don't.
is becoming a bit of a joke.
No,
now.
no, no,
You're
no.
doing
It's not a piece of a joke. These are important questions. You don't go
It's
to
been
Bangladesh to
answered
see
over
if children
and over and
work
over again.
in your BCI spinning mill, right?
Just you're done
Just
now.
tell me.
You're
You
done.
don't go
You're
there.
Done. You're done.
Okay.
You had
No answer? Okay, no answer.
It was under his presidency that hundreds of protests